It's Thursday, August 20th, and this is now on HNN.
If we do half measures, it's going to delay us getting well, delay the numbers from dropping, and it's obviously going to delay the ability to have schools open and to have tourism return. All of these things will be delayed.
New restrictions are now in effect for Oahu, but Lieutenant Governor Josh Green and others say they aren't enough to rein in the COVID-19 surge.
It's definitely manpower right now. If they were to hire, a lot of these higher positions can be paid out of CARES funds, so funding is not the problem.
So many in Hawaii are still waiting for their jobless benefits. We'll have the latest on what's happening at the state unemployment office. A historic night for Senator Kamala Harris as she formally accepted the Democratic VP nomination. We have a preview of the final night of the DNC. Coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you for watching This Is Now. I'm Jonathan, your director and producer, along with Ashley here. We've got so much news to get to today. We're starting with those latest numbers from the State Department of Health.
Hey everyone, health officials are reporting 2 more patients with COVID-19 have died, bringing Hawaii's death toll to 45. DOH is also reporting 236 new COVID-19 cases today. The breakdown by county shows 230 are on Oahu, 5 are on the Big Island, and there is 1 case on Maui. New restrictions for Oahu are now in effect, but there's a lot of confusion because what is actually written in the order is different from what Mayor Caldwell announced earlier this week. So we've confirmed this information with the city, and here are the major points. The emergency order prohibits indoor and outdoor social gatherings of any type and any number of people. This includes your private home. So basically, you're not allowed to invite someone from a different household over to your house. Gatherings of 5 or less people are allowed at essential businesses like restaurants and outdoor attractions. Many of you have asked me if restaurants are still allowed to do dine-in service because there is a line in the order that says they need to do just delivery or takeout, but I'm told that that language is old and part of a previous emergency order. So yes, restaurants can still do dine-in service, but remember, groups of customers need to be 5 people or less. Face coverings are now required at shopping malls, churches, and public outdoor spaces where social distancing is not possible. And singing at church services is actually allowed, but here are the rules for that. If it's an outdoor service, the singer must be at least 10 feet away from any other person unless they're in the same household. For indoor services, singers must be 10 feet away from any person, and a physical barrier like plexiglass must be set up. Again, this 10 feet of distance does not apply to those singers who live together. We hope this helps clear up any of the confusion you may have. And again, these restrictions are in effect right now for Oahu and will last until at least September 16th. Meanwhile, in an interview with HNN, Lieutenant Governor Josh Green criticized the governor's decision not to announce a broad shutdown and said he didn't buy the health department's reassurances.
We should be talking about a mask mandate, making sure that that is critically adhered to. That's good. There is now a mask mandate. Everyone should wear a mask if they're out of their house, period. If you're out of your house or you're around anybody, you gotta be wearing a mask. If you do that and we don't have gatherings and you're safer at your home, the virus will get knocked down. But a fixation on still going to the movie theaters, playing the flute, I mean, my God, okay? So we have to be real here. We have to get focused on the most important things, and we have gone into a danger zone. So I will keep updating the governor and the mayors, and what I'm hearing from the healthcare system and the physicians is it's a danger zone. We have to stop the spread. We have to buy some time for the Department of Health to adequately get tracing and testing up. It has been inadequate, and that is a weapon we need.
Now let's toss it over to Casey Lunge, who's outside Ala Moana Beach Park with more reaction from people about those new rules.
The Act Now Honolulu order will extend the closure of beaches, parks, and bars on Oahu for 28 days, but really it also focuses in on gatherings. Employers, of course, are urged to allow people to work from home if possible, if not, to limit the number of folks in their workplaces by staggering schedules. Restaurants can't have groups larger than 5 at a single table. Outdoor attractions, museums, and movie theaters also can't have groups larger than 5. Not everyone agrees with the mayor and the governor's decision.
If it were up to me, I'd fire both of them. I'd be looking for a recall. The data seems to show that being outside is healthier, so parks and beaches, as long as people socially distance, ought to be where people are.
I think they're doing the best they can with what they have. It's not too much, but sometimes it's a little bit hard to understand why some things are open and some things aren't.
Back out here at Ala Moana Beach Park, it's really changed daily life for a lot of the surfers. All the parking that's along the roadway here as you go into the beach park, of course, is closed off. That means that folks have to fight for a very limited amount of spaces in this lot. And if they don't get here early enough, they have to take their chances parking at one of the shopping centers here at Ward.
The other day we came down here, there's waves on the South Shore, as you know, and so we came down here looking for parking. Got a phone call from a friend saying it's 4:00 a.m., the gate just opened, but it's filling up. So we raced down here, got a stall at 4:15, but can't paddle out until about 5:20. So we're just kind of sitting and hanging out at 4 in the morning. It is a little weird. When you go in the beach, there's a lot of people riding bikes and congregating in the water. So I'm not sure how they're policing that, but it's still going on.
Restaurants, churches, and other personal services are still allowed to operate as long as they really enforce those social distancing guidelines and make their customers or patrons wear masks. One of the other things that we hear a lot about are some of the elderly folks that really use the water for exercise. Some of them really don't have a whole lot of options for parking, and it's discouraging a lot of the people from getting in the water. At Ala Moana Beach Park, I'm Casey Lund for This Is Now.
Meanwhile, a lot of folks across the state are still upset about those delays at the unemployment office. Billy V has the latest on what's happening.
We're standing outside the Ruth Ke'elikolani building here, and this is where the unemployment office is. And our newsroom has been getting on a daily basis, calls and emails from people saying they cannot get through to the state unemployment office. As a matter of fact, one person says that he calls more than 100 times a day, every day, and he still cannot get through. The unemployment office remains overwhelmed, especially after the phone bank at the convention center shut down earlier this month. At its peak, the phone center had hundreds of volunteers answering calls from people who filed for jobless benefits. We asked the acting director of the state labor department why the center closed.
We had all state workers volunteering, and they're all starting to go back to work. They need to go back to the jobs that they were hired to do. And so we lost a lot of volunteers. So those calls right now are being directed to all of the local offices. So all of the local claims offices across the state. The thing is, those are the same individuals that work on processing claims. They're working on processing claims and trying to answer the calls at the same time.
State lawmakers, including House Finance Chair Sylvia Luke, says the unemployment office needs to hire more people and hire them quickly.
It's definitely manpower right now. If they were to hire, a lot of these higher positions can be paid out of CARES funds. So funding is not the problem. It's really clearing the way so that they can hire more people.
Now, there are currently 98 people working on unemployment insurance claims. Labor Department is trying to hire about 50 more. As for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, or PUA, there are about 50 workers. The department is hoping to add 30 more. Officials say that they're working on a system to answer calls from both types of unemployment applicants, but there is no timeline on when that will be done. From the Hawaii State Unemployment Offices on Punch Bowl Street, I'm Billy V for This Is Now.
The state says 1/3 of OCCC inmates whose test results have come back were positive. It has been 2 weeks since the first COVID case was reported at the Kalihi jail, and more than 300 inmates are still waiting to find out if they have the virus. The Public Safety Department reported 18 new cases, bringing the total to 267. The majority are inmates and 36 cases are employees. 24 uninfected prisoners that are considered low risk were scheduled to be released yesterday. The state Supreme Court ordered another round of early releases on Monday. 450 inmates are eligible. The ever-extending quarantine is canceling vacations far into the future. Howard Dykes has the update.
Millions of regular visitors to Hawaii still book their vacations a few months in advance, but hoteliers now say they're getting new cancellations of December and January stays as the 14-day quarantine stretches through September. Cabo, Cancun, and the Caribbean are experiencing the same thing. In other words, the longer it goes, the longer travelers fear it will go. But United still plans to restore some Cabo flights next month and some Hawaii flights, so we'll watch for updates on that. KALONA brand company is for sale. Founded 5 years ago with help from venture capitalists and Kamehameha schools, KALONA brand planted 20 acres of cacao on North Shore, Oahu. The plan was to grow and market chocolate, breadfruit, ulu, and avocado. It can still do that, but it needs more capital to build out the business. So, CEO Kavika Burgess is shopping for a buyer.
It's the final night of the Democratic National Convention, and to give us a preview, we're joined now by CBS's Margaret Brennan, who's been following the festivities. Aloha, Margaret.
Aloha. Good to talk to you.
Awesome. So tell us, what can viewers expect from tonight?
Well, this is the final night of the DNC, as you said, and Joe Biden will finally be accepting the party's nomination. So this is his third run for the presidency. He's doing it at an age that would make him potentially the oldest president should he win the election. And it's in a circumstance he probably never expected to be doing so, given that all of this is virtual and not an in-person convention. You can expect him to make the closing argument, particularly that he is ready to lead on day one. He'll detail his past experience in Congress and in the Situation Room because he will undoubtedly try to capitalize on the fact we've seen a slew of former national security officials, including Republicans like the former Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, come out this week and say Donald Trump is a security risk to the country. So Biden will try to draw that distinction. He'll make this argument that has been around character to lead, and that America is striving for a more perfect union. That will be in contrast to what we will soon hear from the Republicans, as Donald Trump will continue to campaign on the idea that America is already great, and that's why he needs to be reelected to keep it that way.
Right. Let's talk about last night. There's a lot of buzz around President Obama's speech. There's that unofficial president's rule, right, where former presidents don't publicly criticize sitting presidents. But Mr. Obama didn't hold back last night.
He didn't, and it was very sharp because of what you just laid out. It was a break from precedent, but he laid out in very stark terms the choice, the crossroads he sees the country at. Really saying that he never saw Donald Trump grow into the office. He says the current president basically is not up to the job. After 4 years, he says it's proven that. So he really gave a scathing indictment, also a call to action, calling on voters to make sure their votes are counted, to really be diligent about that, because he made the accusation that the president and his allies will do anything to win, suggesting obviously some perhaps interference or suppression of the vote. So this was a real warning. We saw Barack Obama and Kamala Harris, who also spoke last night as she accepted the party's VP nomination, bring in the highest viewership to date from the past few days of the DNC convention.
Right, and you mentioned this because of the pandemic. This isn't your traditional DNC, it's virtual. Do you feel that Democrats are doing enough to inspire and rally voters for November?
Well, it's very hard to make any of this feel authentic because it's all remote. It's all, even though you have the faux intimacy of being in someone's living room, it's talking to a camera rather than to a room. Conventions are always slightly awkward, but perhaps this one more so because of the pandemic and the restrictions there. But given that, they have tried to make this argument about unifying the country and about highlighting the problems that need to be dealt with. They have glossed over a lot of the divisions within the Democratic Party. Really, the only unifying factor that you can point to in many ways, other than sort of general ideology, is the fact that they are in opposition to Donald Trump. Remember, during the primary season, this was a really hard-fought campaign between the more progressive wings of the Democratic Party and a centrist Democrat like Joe Biden. The job this week has been about trying to excite young voters and voters who were perhaps disappointed that a more moderate Democrat got the nomination. So that is what the intent has been, to try to rally people to show up and vote in November.
All right, CBS's Margaret Brennan, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Great to be with you.
New today, during a meeting at the White House with the Prime Minister of Iraq, President Trump discussed troop withdrawals from the region.
Mr. President, just to follow up on the troops question, sir, do you have a time frame for the full and complete withdrawal of U.S. troops from Iraq?
Mike, what would you say to that?
Yeah, as soon as we complete the mission, the President's made very clear he wants to get our forces down to the lowest level as quickly as we possibly can. That's the mission he's given us, and we're working with the Iraqis to achieve that.
We're at the lowest level now, Jeff. We're at the lowest level in Afghanistan that we have been at many years. We'll be down to about 4,000 troops in Afghanistan, and that will be when?
A couple months, sir.
Yeah, within a few months, a couple of months.
And more political news, President Trump's former political advisor has been arrested in connection with an online fundraising scheme. Federal prosecutors say Steve Bannon ripped off thousands of donors in the so-called We Build the Wall campaign, which raised more than $25 million. President Trump distanced himself from Bannon and the fundraising project.
And we got some other developing news out of Russia, correct?
That's right. Let's see. A fierce critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin is in the hospital after a suspected poisoning. Now, the victim believes he got sick from drinking a cup of tea. Here's Ian Lee.
This video appears to show Alexei Navalny groaning on the plane when paramedics arrive. Pilots made an emergency landing in Siberia after he started to feel sick. His spokeswoman told a Moscow radio station, he drank only black tea in an airport cafe. We reckon that he was poisoned and that it happened with the tea. Doctors say he's unconscious but stable. Naturally, poisoning is considered as one of the possible reasons of the deterioration in the condition, says this senior doctor. We are working on everything: eliminate, confirm, and work. For years, Navalny has been on the wrong side of the Kremlin. He accused Putin's party of rigging the 2011 parliamentary elections while championing an anti-corruption campaign. But he's paid for his opposition, being arrested numerous times and personally attacked on several occasions. Russian agents have been suspected of poisoning dissidents in the past, including a former double agent in England 2 years ago. And in 2015, opposition politician Boris Nemtsov was shot dead just yards from the Kremlin. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
All right, we'll stay on top of that story. Have the latest coming up on our evening editions of HNN and all the network newscasts that we show you on NBC and CBS. We want to take you outside, get a check of the weather. We got Guy Hoggy here with the latest forecast.
Aloha on this Thursday. We're tracking some moisture moving through the state, and there's a possibility, not a guarantee, just a chance that the Big Island and Maui could get some heavy rain, maybe even some thunderstorms later today for the Big Island. And those trade winds will be picking up speed. Already it's quite breezy for parts of Maui County. Of course, Kona going to be the outlier. They will not get those trade winds. They will see light and variable winds. So again, there's a possibility for heavy rain as well as some thunderstorms for the Big Island and to some extent Maui County. And then we could see some of those showers later on tonight for Oahu and Kauai, although the rainfall totals will likely be light to moderate. And as far as out in the ocean, we got some fun stuff continuing to roll in to south and east shores. And that hurricane off the coast of Baja is not going to impact our weather, although we could see a swell from Hurricane Genevieve sometime over the weekend. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Well, the internet is buzzing and my stomach is rumbling. That's because Taco Bell has unveiled what its new restaurants are going to sort of look like. This is a new rendering that the restaurant design team released. It's trying to reduce interactions between people, that human-to-human interaction. These photos show how the fast food chain is pushing its mobile ordering services through drive-thru. Taco Bell is cutting down on dining room space, adding a second drive-thru in many locations for pickup orders using its new Go Mobile app. A lot of Taco Bells really don't have the space here to add a second drive-thru, so I don't know if a lot of local chains will do that. Some might, but at least they are pushing that app everywhere across the country, and I'm so hungry, Ashley.
You're such a Taco Bell fan.
I know.
So were you a big Cinnamon Toast Crunch fan as a kid?
Not
you still
gonna
are?
lie, I still am. And I love that stuff.
Well, the iconic cereal flavor now comes in a handy bottle for topping just about anything with a little sweetness. Now, Cinnadust blends together cinnamon, vanilla, sugar, and graham cracker goodness into an easy-to-enjoy powder. Now, we're thinking beyond toast here, guys. Try it on ice cream, yogurt, fruit, or even as a substitute for sprinkles on a cupcake. Now, Cinnamon Dust will first be available at Sam's Club starting September 1st.
I love it on ice cream. Its only downfall, it does have that cut the roof of your mouth effect if you eat too much of it, which I always do.
Pro tip for Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Rice Krispie treats?
Yeah.
Sub Rice Krispies with cinnamon toast, add chocolate, and it's basically like a s'mores thing.
Did you just volunteer to bring snack? This is now snack
I'll make
tomorrow.
it for you.
Thank you.
And speaking of things from the past, remember BlackBerry? Well, it's coming back. So BlackBerry has continued to license its brand to phone manufacturers over the years, and now a new licensee, Onward Mobility, has signed on to bring it back. The company says they will debut the BlackBerry sometime next year. They didn't give a lot of details about the new phone, except that it will run on the Android operating system and have 5G connectivity. It will also reportedly have top-of-the-line security, but no word yet on the price.
I did like that keyboard, I gotta say. I love my BlackBerry keyboard. All right, Volkswagen has started building its new electric SUV. This is happening in Germany. The new SUV could help Volkswagen compete with Tesla's model. The Volkswagen SUV will initially be built and sold in Europe and China. U.S. production is set to begin in 2022 in Tennessee.
Very cool, very sleek looking.
Sharp car there. I like that.
And time for some good news, guys.
Yes,
it's
please.
time to vote for the 15th annual Construction Fundraiser. 5 teams of architects and engineers made structures out of 500 Vienna sausage cans. Now you get 1 vote for every dollar you donate to the Hawaii Food Bank. You can donate vote as much times as you want. Just look for the link at hawaiinewsnow.com.
And I'm just letting this video play out a bit. We saw the builders there in this time-lapse video building a beautiful heart sculpture there. Let's wait and see what they're building next in anticipation. Is that a Pokemon?
I think it's the cat. You know the cat?
Oh, Lucky Cat.
Yeah,
Yes.
Lucky Cat. Cool.
Oh, okay, that's my choice. You know it is, right? Yeah. You know it is. What's next? What's next? Oh, come on.
It looks like a hand.
Okay, that could go many directions. Oh, yeah, it was an emoji up hand. It could have been a different finger.
Number 1.
I'm glad it was a number 1. Glad it was a number 1 there, guys. All right, what other good news you got, Ash?
So Pearl Harbor is now offering free half-hour virtual presentations of the Mighty Mo for families doing distance learning at home. Small groups, 5 people or less, guys, they're still welcome to visit the Battleship Missouri Memorial. You can just go visit their website for more information.
Good program there. Hey, guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now on this Thursday. We are 1 day away from what, Ashley?
Friday!
We know there's a lot of confusion out there about those new restrictions that Ashley did a good job of laying out for us at the top of the newscast. We put it online as well, so check out our Agent and Digital app so you can really look in-depthly there on those new rules to make sure you're sticking to them. Until tomorrow, guys, I'm Jonathan alongside Ashley. Don't forget we have a new Instagram, and you can find us also on audio podcast streaming anywhere you find your podcasts. You guys have a great day.
Aloha.